an apprenticeship of autonomy. And it's a way to look for deep motivations within oneself and to build from it, and thanks to the resulting energy, an individual project that can be in line with a collective project. Well, some other important ideas is that we start to discuss about how to explain social and solidarity economy to those who don't have any knowledge of the concept. So, well, we think that it is important to start from the methodology and the community, the idea of community. So in that sense, the first step is to listen to the students, to hear this experience, their expectations, their ideas, and well, the idea is that everything starts from the listening. And then we need to establish together the values and the principles, and we start explaining some little things. And well, other important thing is that we think it is important when we start doing some education together about this concept is to put things together and to know each other and to organize the place together, because social and solidarity economy is a collective project and not an individual one. So it is important to put into account that. Also taking into account that for example, universities are related with a selection process, and that means that there are losers, no, of this selection. So it is complicated to start a common project from this competition process. Sorry. So that's something we need to take into value. We need to put into value when we teach social and solidarity economy. And I don't know if you want to add something else on.
I just said that it's not a special economy in the sense that you can produce and do everything that is done out in the so-called traditional. It's really a way to understand where economy has to be in the society at the right place, and especially to make sure that everyone profit from what is produced and not just a little part of the human beings. I was saying that, I think, at the end of when I was taken away. It's very, very brutal. Okay.
Thank you for sharing. I don't know if any of the working group participants wants to add something.
Well, we welcome somebody from UN RIST who maybe re-ask the question, because it's valid for the whole group now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm Will Chung-hee. I'm working at UNRIST in Geneva, and I raised question like, how to explain SSE to those who do not have any previous knowledge about SSE, because that is one of the key concerns we have as an agency within UN system to promote SSE as an alternative to market fundamentalist capitalism, because we found that we have very strong network of SSE groups and individuals, but we are talking to each other, not to those outside that circle, and that is the problem we have. So how to expand the scope of audience and kind of advocates of SSE. In that case, how to explain SSE to those who do not have any previous knowledge about SSE. I mean, maybe that can be the key question of this working group on education too. But I think this is a question to all of us who are interested in promoting SSE as an alternative to market fundamentalist capitalism. So I raise this question again to all of you. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that is the question that we are all wanting to solve. And I think we start trying to understanding how to present to the young people, but it's only a start, it's so many things that we need to do. But maybe we can now, the time is flying, so maybe we can now listen to the group about future of work, having these questions in mind, and then we will see what we will have next. So thank you, Josette and Andrea, for your sharing, and all the participants of the working group. And now I ask the spokesperson of the Future of Work working group to join us. Maybe Georgia, do you want to start?
Yeah, for us, I think the time was quite really little, because the topic is quite, it's new, it's theoretical, it's most to create a space of exchange concerns and threats and opportunities. So it was, it was more like presentation finally, not like work. So, but okay. So the main topics that raised, the way that I would share the presentation was to raise some main factors that provoke some changes in the nature of work. The one is the proximity and the physical distance, and the other is the loss of income and the wage cuts. So we make some, we saw some reports how these two factors influence specific sectors. And then from these specific sectors, we highlight that the more vulnerable were women and migrants and young people, mostly occupied in the also informal economy. So we said that I said that this pandemic, in terms of hygienic, it's in terms of influence in a financial topic and economic topic, it really applied in already fragilities of the labor market and to social inequalities. And then we discuss a bit about the role of SSE and the IVET, because one of the main challenges is how the people, in order to find new jobs, etc., to switch, but how easy you can obtain new skills and knowledge in order to switch. So we present the capability approach that we work together in our Erasmus Plus project, how to make more people able and go beyond expertise in specific workplace, but how to learn vocational areas, etc. And the next step is we point out some threats of the remote work. The main was how influence the social dimension of the work, but we are isolated, but we don't know anything what happens in our companies, etc. But the SSE actors are the ones that structurally participate the people in the governance, in the operational system, so SSE actors could face more effective, probably, this threat of isolation and losing this working identity or employee identity. And also how influence psychologically the whole isolation, and how maybe our work or ourselves perceived like instrumentalized rather than people that they are work, and they do have a social dimension. They exchange their news, and they take care of what's going on around them socially and politically, etc. I don't know, Elena, if you want to add something.
It was perfect. Thank you, Georgia and Elena, for your work, of course. We are some minutes beyond our timing, so I will pass to the closing session. And for that, I'm welcoming Jason Nardi from RIPES Europe and Laure Jongejans from RIPES Intercontinental. Jason Nardi is president of RIES, Italian Solidarity Economy Network, and co-founder of Solidarius Italia, an organization that we already presented today. Trainer on the topics of solidarity economy and ethical finance, Jason is general delegate of RIPES Europe and has been until recently coordinator of the board of directors of RIPES, the Intercontinental Network of Promotion for the promotion of social solidarity economy. And now I pass the word to him to present law and start your dialogue. Thank you so much for your presence here today.
Thank you, Sophia, and thanks to all of you who are participating in this meeting. I think it's really important that we share and discuss these fundamental questions and how we are trying to address them in the different fields. And education is certainly one of the more important fields if we want to promote outside of our circles what and how social solidarity economy works. So Laure is Executive Secretary of RIPES Intercontinental, the network of networks, let's say, that brings together social solidarity economy movement, I would say, since 20 and more years. Therefore, whereas I represent the European Continental Network in the board and of RIPES Intercontinental, there's the African RIPES, there's the Latin American and Caribbean, there's North America, as well as Asia. And you can imagine it's complex and huge with all the different languages, and Oceania, which is the one that has joined latest. And I don't see Laure right now. Where is she?
Yes, I'm here. Do you hear me?
There you are. There you are. Hi.
Hi.
Good. And Laure is in Barcelona, based in Barcelona. That's where our secretariat is based, together with Julie and Eva, who work on the advocacy and the communication of the network. So I was thinking, I mean, a lot of things have been said in this last hour and a half. And I think in a sense, there are two main issues. One is around the involvement of youth and the next generations and their active engagement in SSE. And the other one is about what we're living today and how we can get out of it, what SSE can contribute to for a fair recovery, and therefore how education can be not only about how to acquire different competences and skills, etc., but actually an education for change, learning how to critically analyze the moment we are living, as Andrea has done at the beginning, and Francesco, and how you can think positively in collectively changing this, being part of a plural movement that can really make a difference. So just to give a first attempt of an answer from my side, but then I wanted to hear, of course, Laure, to the crucial question that that we were saying before, that Il-Chong was saying. How do we start approaching people who have never been exposed to an alternative economy, an idea of an alternative system? Well, I think that there are maybe two ways. One, and there are many ways, but there are two ways we can start to approach this. One is by listening to and asking what they think is not right or not working in today's market and growth-based economy. So what they are experiencing. And the other is to give examples of how you can actually produce, consume, distribute, exchange, create services in a different way, in a caring way, which is beneficial for all, for the collectivity, and not just for a few. And then I think from there, you can explore not only the values, but the practices, because I think people can connect much more directly with their everyday life and what they can see, how they can change their own lifestyle in a way that is positive for themselves and for those who are around them. So I wanted to ask Laure what are we doing in RIPES at the intercontinental level when we want to approach this issue, how to engage young people, how to promote a different economy.
Thanks, Jason, and thanks to all the organizers and participants. From the perspective of the networks, I would start from the grassroots level, no? Because in the end, our logic, and it has also been expressed just now, that the bottom-up logic is the most interesting one, and so solidarity economy is occurring on the ground, no? So the last years, let's say that I would say the last 3 years, no, 2-3 years. Youth members of SSE networks, in particular from RIPES, are making their voices heard, and we know that starting on the ground, we see many young people today that are more and more interested in engaging either in diverse forms of SSE, being grouped of collective housing, community-based initiative, solidarity culture, digital commons, circular economy, agroecology, etc., and or engaging in movements for fair transition and climate justice. So young people are deploying more and more innovative approaches that are really very transformative. No? So on the level of national networks, if I start on this level, on different continents, we have different initiatives and at the same time, some similar initiatives. No? So for instance, in Africa, we could quote the experiences of national networks from Cameroon and Ivory Coast. I think someone from Ivory Coast has been connected at some point here, Sila. Are doing a super job from the national SSE network perspective, trying to promote SSE toward young people who don't know SSE, or maybe are doing SSE without knowing they're doing it. So the young people involved in these networks have an important role for the promotion of it. No? And Sila is one of those engaged in such a kind of promotion. At the same time, if you also have a North America member like the Chantier de l'Économie Sociale. They have their own youth commission, working commissions, and so on. And I think it is at this level that's we should see how to approach and promote and make sure more young people get to know about SSE. It is at the local level. Of course, each level has its role, no? So at continental level, like sub-regional level, like Europe, for instance, beside what has been described at the beginning, no, by Andrea and by Francesco, if I remember well, structuration is starting to occur, no, and articulations and sharing of experience. We could also say the same for some other networks like RAES in Africa, where I guess the connection is getting more easy through real in-presence encounters, no, meetings, and it has occurred like several times in Mali that they group some young people from Western Africa in particular and allow some sharings and projections and discussions about possibilities and how they could promote SSE at the continental level between the different continents, countries in their continent, no. In Latin America, for instance, since 2019, they have decided at the continental level to make sure that from each national level, there is at least one young people representing the national network. No? Not only having senior people, as it seems to be the case, for instance, in Latin America quite a lot. So now, from now on, hello Sila, I see Sila is here. From now on, they have one young person delegated to the continental level. So this is also an important aspect because of the political representation is needed, and voices has to be heard. On the intercontinental level, I would say last year, 2 years, some activities have been organized, and I know Europe has been quite involved because the structuration is accelerating on the European level. And in particular, during the World Social Forum for Transformative Economies, the activities that were organized in last year. In June, there was an intercontinental activity around youth, and also during for instance, the GCEF 2020 online activity that's organized by Mexico. So in this framework, intercontinental activities were organized, and it gave visibility to youth initiatives, both from the grassroots level and from the national SSE networks level. And above all, I think it showed the potential of connecting young people from different countries and continents, which in the end, despite their different context, have some common concerns and hope. No? So that would be more or less, if you see any other initiative, remember, Jason, don't hesitate. These are examples of things that are happening. So, but I think since the last 2 years, it is accelerating and the need is really felt. So I guess it will lead us to the next question.
You're mute, Jason.
Yes. I think there's definitely a surge in activities, and also an inter-movement kind of opening that is sort of mutual positive contamination, if you want, or fertilization is better as a term. And between, for instance, you mentioned it before, Laura, the climate justice movement, where a lot of young people, of course, preoccupied for the future of the Earth itself, are engaged, but also for a different education. There's Rethinking Economics and other groups that are working to change the way education is designed, so that we go more towards cooperative forms of education and knowledge sharing, and create what was mentioned before, more training communities or education communities and peer learning experiences. I think this is really fundamental. Plus a stronger political engagement, where policy is, again, the idea that you can change structural or systemic things, both around you at your local level, but also, and because you depend so much on those at the international level, national and then international level. So how to engage in advocacy and in campaigning, in different forms of campaigning that is not just, but it's very important, going down in the streets and demonstrating, but also all the work that is behind, the research that is behind, the contacts that you need to do, the promotion of what you want to change with your peers, so that you create movement around it, you create a voice. What are we doing around that in RIPES?
Well, from RIPES intercontinental perspective, let's say we believe, and RIPES in general, no, in the movement, we believe in the importance of the role of networks and movements, no, to really impact on decision makers and ensure SSE proposals get to real transformative changes. So let's say each network from the national, regional, continental, and intercontinental levels have an important role in giving visibility to their members' initiatives and to advocate towards local governments, national states, regional and international institutions. So on an intercontinental level, we focus on advocating in international arenas and to make sure the voices and proposals from SSE are taken into account, and among other aspects show that SSE offers solutions to reach the sustainable development goals on a local level. No? So I would say in this sense, regarding youth SSE solutions and proposal, what is really needed to make sure it can impact on decision makers at an international level, it's important that youth SSE initiative be more visible, and at the same time, as Mr. Eli Chung from UNRISD was just saying, no, that at the same time SSE is more visible to all potential interested young people and how to reach them. So this is one aspect. Second, it is important to have youth movements structured, as Francesco was also saying at the beginning, and empowered at national and sub-regional levels, no? Being among SSE RIPES networks around the world, or having more young people hearing about the SSE option solution and joining networks. Or even, like Jason was saying, setting up alliances with other movements and networks, being youth movements or other more thematic or sectorial movements, as SSE can be a concrete tool to get to their objectives, like climate, feminist movements, agroecology, and farmer workers, etc. And let's not forget the role of universities, networks that could play in the promotion, of course. And finally, have young people trained, empowered, and develop leadership and advocacy capacities to make sure they can develop proposals and influence decision makers. So these are elements I think can be very useful and important to make sure we can relay on an international level the proposals of young people. And as we could see in this presentation on a European level, things are starting to get structured and funds are being raised to be able to support youth initiatives and their reinforcement, but this is not always the case in all regions of the world. So although it doesn't mean initiatives, SSE young initiatives are not there. So lately, different international platforms or arenas are showing interest for having young people supported and empowered through SSE. And in the case of UNRISD, for instance, with UNRISD, we collaborate in the framework of the SSE interagency, the UN interagency SSE task force. And as mentioned in Chiara's presentation earlier also, as well as the Global Social Economy Forum, the GCEF, for instance, that is grouping some cities and local governments. And there are many other arenas in which we could give a lot of visibility and see how to fundraise also to make sure we can support youth movements to get structured, empowered, and have their own, can project their own hopes and proposals. So this is quite important. So these are more or less, without entering too much into detail, the actions we could relay, and the potential is there. And as RIPES, we do and will do our best to give the visibility it deserves for the future of our society and planets. Support the interconnection between different continents, networks from different continents when relevant, and also hoping to set up an intercontinental specific project for fundraising that could contribute to all that, what I was saying. So as there was a quote from someone, we don't know who it was, we don't remember, but someone said at some point in one of our activities, youth lacks SSE and SSE lacks youth. So I thought it was a good way of expressing the need for having youth empowered and proposing. We are here to listen and relay the messages, of course.
Okay, well, thanks a lot. I think we're pretty much on the hour, right? So I would like to just point out one aspect that goes back to what the main theme here of the presentations that have been done, the projects that were presented, which is the theme of vocation. In today's world, to have a career, you have to follow the sectors and the ways that are imposed, in a sense, by the market and by the competitive society. Going back to a vocational kind of and the possibility of of being a self-entrepreneur collectively, though, not as an individual. So of creating collective cooperative structures to realize your vocation. I think this is something that can be really attractive for young people, so that this dependence on the job market is a bit less strong if you know that you can, if you're educated on how to do it, of course, if you get to know or you can practice on how to do it, create your own business, let's say, or and in a way that follows your values and your needs. So this is, I think, a very important message beyond everything else, and it's important that not only in the formal educational system, but also in the professional educational system, the one that forms people to a job, we get to change the way that is taught and introduce strongly the values and the systems and the ways that can really from the inside change this society to become a solidarity-based and caring society.
Thank you, Jason and Laure. I think it was a great way to end our discussion today with pretty important topics that, of course, we will have with us in our lives, but also in the coming days of ECOSOC Youth Forum. So maybe we can use these ideas to join the forum and to try to collect more information. Before we close the session, I would like to thank all the speakers and moderators for your excellent job, and a special thanks to the participants, of course. It was very good to have you with us today. We will keep in touch because we are preparing a newsletter with the main results, the main research using and promoted in this event. And of course, we have each other's emails, so let's keep in touch and try to build synergies and try to create new things. So once again, many thanks. Hope to see you soon. And of course, take care in these strange times. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye to all.
I thank you.
All.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Ciao. Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Bye.
Ciao.